We do have this Sheila Johnson, Washington Mystics owner conversation. Just to give y'all some background, Caitlin Clark won, I believe, Athlete of the Year from Time Magazine this year, at least the Women's Athlete of the Year. And Sheila Johnson, Washington Mystics owner, franchise in the WNBA, she got on CNN, and this was her following quote about the whole situation when she was asked about Caitlin Clark being Athlete of the Year via the Mirror US. She said, "In this year, something clicked with the WNBA, and it's because of the draft and the players that came in. It's not just Caitlin Clark, it's Angel Reese. We have so much talent out there that has been unrecognized, and I don't think we can just pin it on one player. It's just the structure of the media plays out race. I feel really bad because I've seen so many great players of color that are equally as talented, and they've never got the recognition that they should have, and I think right now, it's time for that to happen. When you just keep singling out one player, it creates hard feelings, and now you're starting to hear stories of racism within the WNBA, and I don't want to hear that. We've got to operate, become stronger as a league, and respect everyone that's playing and respect their talents." Now, just before we dive into it, I do want to mention that Caitlin Clark actually did address this in her whole time thing before Sheila Johnson even said anything, and kind of acknowledged how, you've got to celebrate and really uplift the legends of before in the WNBA that are black women, and she understands like how her race, when being a white woman, can play into more favorable media coverage, and even the whole Angel Reese situation. We're going to dive into all that. I want to start off, though. I think the thing that is kind of interesting about this situation, I feel like it's a few things. Number one, I think going back to the Angel Reese situation, I just think for whatever reason, people felt uncomfortable by seeing women be competitive in sports, which to me is really dumb. Because, this is kind of the thing that started everything, right? But when we look at the NBA, there's so many, at least for us as NBA fans, there's so many worse moments in terms of smack talk or aggression. They were calling Luka, I'm not going to curse, but,
bitch-ass white boy is what Montrezl Harrell said.
Outside of Bill Russell fighting the KKK, things like that. I think a lot of...
Bro, continue about that, bro. Man literally told Tim Duncan, "Happy Mother's Day." That man's mother's been dead since he was 14.
Yeah. I feel like there was...
That's nothing.
I feel like there was a lot of people that were introduced to the WNBA as their first sport, so they didn't really understand how competition worked. And I think there was also a higher level of scrutiny with Angel Reese being a black woman, though. Even before that, though, I think one thing I find interesting in terms of this whole Caitlin Clark situation, while I do agree that, the media, her appearance, etc., can be in favorable coverages, if we just gonna be honest, she getting this coverage because she shoot like Steph Curry. That's simply what it is. And people also forget she was hot when she was a rookie. Her and Angel Reese were both top 5 recruits in her class. Paige Beckers, though, was the one that was her coming out of college, this is going to be the future of the WNBA. Was out for a season with an Achilles tear. That's when Caitlin Clark slid in there and really put herself in those conversations. But again, she put herself in those conversations because she shot like Steph Curry. And I think when you're an owner of the league, I feel like the WNBA has kind of bottled the coverage of this, instead of it being, oh, okay, you have this one player everybody's looking at. Now look at all the other cool stuff we have too. Instead of uplifting the league, they're being mad that somebody's doing the main uplifting. And I think a great comparison for this is when Bron joined the Cavaliers and they were asking all of Bron's teammates, "What do you think about Bron?" "Oh, I don't think he's proven himself." "Oh, I don't think he's that good. Why is a rookie getting this much coverage?" Etc., etc. Now, as an established player, even taking race out of it, I understand why you would feel that way, but you also got to look at it. Do we remember any of Bron's teammates from 2004?
Booby Gibson.
Carlos Boozer.
Boozer, I remember Boozer on the team, and I remember Delonte West, but for other reasons.
Gauskas was on there too. He was nice.
Yeah, he was.
Smush Parker was like, "I don't think he's gonna come in and make an impact like Caron Butler." Word for word, that's what he said.
I know, that's why it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And it's as a league, you kind of have to use the hype to your advantage. And it's also interesting for the Washington Mystics owner to say this when she had a chance to draft Angel Reese, but instead she drafted Aaliyah Edwards, who's also a great rookie. But you had a chance to capitalize off of this. We also have Angel Reese hype because you picked was before Reese got drafted in 7, and you didn't because subconsciously everybody thought Reese's hype was only tied to Caitlin Clark, instead of, her own marketing and her own branding. I guess I just really want to get your guys' take on, I understand it's been a conversation for a while, this whole, is it Caitlin Clark or is it the WNBA, or is it because she's white, or is it because she's just actually a good player? What are y'all thoughts on this whole, I almost want to say mishandling of the situation, but just like the whole like coverage around the WNBA as a whole when it comes to this thing.
I'll let Royce go first. I have to give something.
I think like the whole discourse around the WNBA, especially amongst people in the league, is just really, really weird. Like I've never seen so much jealousy and like hatred towards a woman who's, brought all this spotlight to your league. Like she's the reason more tickets are getting sold. The reason why they're gonna be able to.
Wait.
The reason that they're gonna be able to get these like crazy contracts in the future, and like, what were they saying that like when Caitlin Clark came that they finally got like chartered flights?
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I don't really get. I mean, I get it. It's like for the women like Ionescu and all them who've been there like prior, but even then they never had an impact like Caitlin Clark. Like no one really was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna tune into the WNBA to watch Sabrina Ionescu. Caitlin Clark made me watch the WNBA draft. I never watched the WNBA draft before, so it's like the scale that she's improving the league on is just so drastic that I feel like hating on it is just weird, especially from like people of like different owners and stuff. Like you should be uplifting these women.
Yeah.
And then if like when we were talking last week about who was it? Andre Iguodala was like, oh, number 24 is nice.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
But
23.
they had a problem when it was men, and then they were like, oh, women supporting women, and then they have a problem when women do the exact same thing. So it was like you can't win with the WNBA really.
I think it got to a scale where it was kind of dumb. Like Stephen A was like, oh, Caitlin Clark should have been on the USA team because it's more viewers. This is the Olympics. I don't think viewership gonna be an issue. Why? I think the issue is like when her fans represent a certain sector that really like are just kind of putting this whole like Great White Hope title. It's low key kind of like Taylor Swift, Beyonce. I'm not comparing it to it all, but it's a lot of not a lot.
Wait. You got to speak very carefully. They do not play. You got to speak
Yeah,
very
go ahead,
carefully
skip
right
that,
now.
skip that.
I do want to say, both are some of the greatest artists of this generation.
We'll get the Swiftie views.
You said Samaji, why are you making these you said I gotta be very careful. Now you putting a target on our backs. Remember, this is a group effort. Remember what this is. No, but I'm just saying, like, there's some people that and even Taylor Swift has said this, there are some people that put her in conversations where she was never in because they need this, I guess, quote unquote, great white hope. And we've seen this narrative a lot of times. And I feel like and an Angel Reese situation is a great example, like the whole like David Portner tweets and all that. And he's like, oh, this thug didn't know how to handle a win. I was like, bro, all she did was the same thing Clark did, the John Cena thing. It's not even like Clark's own celebration. They just having fun. And they asked Clark about it after the game. She's like, oh, she won. She can do that. So it's like athletes understand it. But I think for some reason, a lot of people are like putting Caitlin Clark in conversations she shouldn't be in because for whatever reason, I don't know if it's, they're looking for a great white hope or maybe they don't like Angel Reese. The only issue I had with this, to be completely honest with you, was Angel Reese did not play good that game. It was Cameron Carson and last year pro, I think that's her name. Cameron Carson had like 23 in the first half. I was like, bro, Angel Reese was not playing good. She was not. That's the only reason I was a little annoyed. I was like, you front running like crazy right now. She was front running that one particular game, but had a great tournament outside of that. But even still, I feel like the league is kind of fumbling it. Like, yeah, you can understand like race plays a role, the politics around women's sports, etc. But you do have this opportunity now. It's the young thug me. I had the plan. Now I just need the platform. I signed the most messed up deal in the world. All I needed was the platform. Now you have the positive attention and buzz that people have. And again, you can't necessarily say it wasn't a lot of Caitlin Clark. When it was teams selling tickets, the Washington Mystics, number one, they had to move to a new arena because they sold out when they were playing the Fever. And they had to move to a new arena just to house like 10, 20,000 fans. They couldn't even handle the fans. Every team in the league, they said, oh, Caitlin Clark going first. Why am I seeing tweets from the Phoenix Mercury three months out before the draft? Clark's still in college, mind you. It's still March Madness going on. Why am I seeing tweets from the Phoenix Mercury, the rookie versus the legend this June? I'm like, bro, she ain't even been drafted yet. Like, what are we doing? So it's kind of disingenuous to like piggyback off the hype and then be like, ah, it wasn't. It's the whole league. And she was like, they should have made the WNBA the league of the year. I'm like, bro, that's not how Time Magazine works, first of all. But second of all, you can't like milk the cow dry and then be mad that people like the cow. But I'm gonna let Kunte Klasamaji cook. Kente Klasamaji.
Going back to the start of it, like just off the what the Mystics owner said, I can see it from both sides. I do see how she had such an impact on the sport itself and did garner all this viewership in promotion as well as abilities to be able to achieve new things in said league. But you also can see it from the point as you can say women's basketball as a whole was really that this year because the viewership spiked tremendously. Like even these past 2 years, you had people rooting for LSU women's basketball, Iowa women's basketball, even South Carolina this past year. So even like teams like that as a whole, everybody garnered eyes to turn to women's basketball for so many years after just being, whatever it's not the NBA, something like that. But then it also comes to a point where it's like, I do feel like a lot of white mediocrity plays a part in Caitlin Clark's success in the sense like she's a good player, don't get me wrong. But a lot of the times, looking out from the outside, looking in, whenever somebody see a white person do something that's not usually their doing, they have a tendency to go, oh my goodness, this is unseen before, this is this and this is that. Like same thing with Sabrina Ionescu. She's a great player, hell of a player. But even before she got in the league, we had hooping in said league. I do feel like it's just the fact that because of her image and she is white doing something that's usually dominated by black people, it's looked at upon this. Because you can see the same thing with the NFL. Like Cooper Kupp, when he had that amazing season, people have had similar seasons to this before. It's just the fact this face and this image, now you're garnered to it, you're pulling traction to it because those group of people, these people, they do happen to bring a lot of viewership to said sport. But yes, King Clark is a phenomenal player, so she did raise the roof in that sense. But I did feel like it did get to a point where a lot of her fan base went from being Iowa fans and people who truly love the sport to a lot of white conservatives and very misogynic, fragile white men hating on this black woman for doing this. Same with David
Portillo, whatever his name is,
yeah, Dave Portillo. Like at first it was just people watching hoops as we regularly do as fans. It's just okay. You might do the occasional trash like, oh, your team sucks, my team's better. But then it got to a point where it's like they started attacking her image as a whole and what she stood for as a black woman instead of just keeping it hoops.
Yeah.
This is not hurting anybody.
Exactly.
We've heard worse in the reg. I've literally told it after hitting the three in his face. Like, it's a regular thing. Trash talk is in all sports. It's even in all aspects of life. You can see this in a business sense. You like win a case over somebody, you're gonna be like, well, better luck next time. You got fried. So this, and they start projecting her as this image of, oh, great white hope in the conservative media, in the sense like, okay, this is the one. She's in this black dominated sport, dominating. So this is our one. This is our savior here. She's owning all you other guys, which sounds crazy in hindsight, but it's like it basically just got super out of hand for what it originally was, and then it got to a point where they start overrating her in terms of this. Like when it came to the WNBA, yes, she was hooping her rookie year, but what we seen Asia Wilson doing was literally unheard of.
2018 Braun.
2018 Braun, dominance of early 2000 Shaq, and there was people legit saying, "Oh, Caitlin Clark should be the MVP," or "Oh, she should be on this team, she should do this, play in the N1 league." I mean, no, not N1,
Big Three
league. Yeah, the Big Three. Granted, cool league, small league. These are former NBA players who was given hell during their time in the league. Like, I'm pretty sure you have like Michael Beasley, who is said to be the greatest one-on-one player among his peers. I'm sorry, she gets in that league, she's going to get fucking fried. Like, it came to a point where they started harping it up too much because you wanted this face and this image of great white hope and thinking, because a lot of white conservative men or just people in general are starting to think that like a white genocide is happening in the sense like the white man's image and white people's images being washed out and replaced, as with Argentina did with black people back then. Yeah. Whatever that year was.
It was like 1884, I think. I think it was like 1884 to like 1937, yeah.
So like anytime they do see like something that reminds, people of whiteness and what whiteness can be, how great it can be, they kind of just get super horny over it,
Yeah.
like projecting it to be this great old thing and start pushing their own agendas onto it, as opposed to just letting it be what it was, sports at the end of the day.
I mean, that's pretty much a perfect take. And I think we've even seen this like on the male side to a much lesser extent. I think the Olympics is when it was revealed because it was a lot of like Nikola Jokic fans, that whole Serbia team. I remember seeing like this Serbia fan account, like 50, 60,000 followers, and he tweeted, not a single tattoo on this team.
Exactly.
Class. It was hilarious when we beat them though.
Another thing. Then you call it class when these people are just like existing compared to
Exactly.
people showing a little bit of emotion. Because we can all agree, whenever we see a person of color, I'm going to say black people for sure because I'm black myself and I can speak on this. They're often labeled as savages. Oh, this doesn't belong in the game. Keep it just sports. Then at the same time, you see these white people talking. It's, oh, well, it's just the game. It's just trash talk. Or, oh, when they don't say oh, it's look how much class they are to this.
Yeah.
When in short, the other person was just showing emotion in the sport they love, which both shows the same amount of levels of class. One just shows humbleness. One just shows how much you love this game.
Exactly. And if I think even like what you were talking about the NFL, I think Josh Allen is another great example of this. And I think Josh Allen is a great quarterback, but it's like, and I'll put it in the video, it's like the Family Guy meme where he's like with the cop and then the cop pulls out like the little color wheel
that shit.
and it shows like all the like whiter fair tones. It's like, okay, cool. And then it shows all the darker stuff. And it's like, all right, that's not good. Get him out of there. It's like the whole Josh Allen conversation. Like every time you hear him like run the ball, it's like using everything in his bag. What a
But when it was
skill.
in Lamar,
When it was
oh my goodness,
Lamar running back.
you're running back. Like,
No,
bro,
I'm so yeah. It was
literally what it was.
Lamar can run better because the football is blends in with his skin.
Exactly.
It's like people don't know. I understand everybody has biases, but like people don't know how to like actually just keep it to like the sport.
Exactly. They don't know how to just watch the game.
Exactly. You don't know how to just enjoy the game because you got to insert all your race politics into it. It's the same. Like I think for face value, yeah, Caitlin Clark did a lot. But we would also all be lying, like you said, Samaji, if it wasn't some of that white mediocrity playing a part.
Exactly.
Now, granted, she's not mediocre at all. Like
No, she's not mediocre in any
right?
sense.
No, exactly.
It's just the sense. Whenever they tend to see a person, specifically this colored person,
I'll do it for
black,
you.
in a black dominated sport, they're going to hype that person up to the moon.
Yeah.
Just because what their image stands for.
Yeah, and like what they feel like. Oh, I blame David Duke for all this, bro.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I blame David.
Burner in hell.
No, he's still alive.
Really?
Yeah, he's 74. David Duke's still alive. David Duke was born in 1950, bro. Bill Russell was already like in his third league.
Bill Russell had like 3 MVPs.
Bill Russell is like a great. Bill Russell is like a great veteran for American
crazy.
history when you really think about it. Because no, we were talking about it before, Royce. It was like, bro, like we couldn't even vote. Like Bill Russell was chasing ring 9 when minorities in America could vote, bro.
That's crazy.
Bill
He
Russell was
does.
all.
He
He
went
was
to
already in the-
he went to the finals like 10 times before they had separate, like while they still had separate water fountains.
Bro, David Duke was a zygote, bro. When Bill Russell was about to go into the league. But yeah, I think that's a great point though. Like it's kind of a combination. I think the way the league is handling it is kind of fumbling it because you can accept what it is. And I mean,
Yeah.
Royce, you didn't even talk about it, but just to give you a little bit right, like as a black man, I've got to say, I think Indian men have worse PR than us. And that's very,
That's saying something.
that's saying a lot. Like a lot of
lot.
the stereotypes and just in general, like strays I've seen Indian people catch for existing is like, bro,
It's really bad.
that's terrible.
Like you would have thought we were still separate water fountains type.
Exactly.
And it's just like, so yeah, you can 100% say like that plays a role into this whole Caitlin Clark phenomenon, but then just you take the hype and then redirect it. Cause I was like, oh, like the All-Star game for the WNBA is a great example. Like, oh shoot, Erika Gumbawale, like is like, I've been know who she is, but it's like, oh, she like the Kyrie to WNBA.
Thank you.
It's-
Another example. These have been hooping since
Yeah.
before she entered the league.
And it's like, I think now they have a great opportunity to like, show the conglomerate of the talent in the WNBA instead of being, sometimes
It's
it's,
tied to this one person.
yeah, like sometimes you can be mad about how the door got open, but at the end of the day, bro, you got to run through that door. If I'm in a burning building and my op opens up a door, am I gonna be like, my op opened up the door, I'm not gonna walk through it? No, it's a burning building, bro. I'm gonna run to a better situation. And they have, I think it's a similar chance to do this because there's, again, Ajay Wilson have maybe one of the great. I was really willing to say if she got the third ring this year, I was ready to put her top 15 basketball players all time, male or female.
That's another thing. Thank you for that. Before Caitlin Clark came to this league, Asia Wilson already had like I want to say MVP in one back-to-back rings.
Yeah.
But by the time Caitlin Clark got there, everybody was saying, "Oh, this is the face of the league. This is the best player in the league." Then Asia Wilson had the season that she had, and it's like, what the who the is she?
But like she been here.
Exactly, she's been here.
Yeah, same thing with like
It's just
Brianna
now you're
Stewart.
finally watching.
Brianna Stewart, 3 rings. Low-key super team merchant. We ain't gotta talk about that though. Also, the refs bailed out the Liberty. We all saw that in real time. We saw it in real time.
I will say, what's Buddy name from the links?
Nafisa Collier or no?
Go to hell. She
He
sold my
stats.
parlay for 600 by 1 point. I needed her for 22. She finished the game with 21. Go to hell.
I'm not gonna lie, that's valid. But that was a great conversation at the end though, because again, like we don't dive into a ton of WNBA, but obviously that's gonna be coming more with we all were watching women's basketball. I mean, I was talking about Royce with Paige Beckers in like 2021. So it's like, not a lot of people are ball watchers though. Hey, Simone Augustus, Lynx legend, what y'all know about that? Crazy pool right there. But with that being said though, as always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'm Joaquin Powers with Samaji Henry and Royce Chan today. Great episode. Kente Klasamaji woke up. That was a great take at the end.
I didn't put the hat on today, but
You didn't put that. That was a great take today. As always, again, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we will see you all in the next one.